The alien queen had not descended into the lower cells in over a decade. Queen Xylosian of the Thyraxis Dominion ruled from a city of living crystal and black alloy, floating above a violet ocean. Her words shattered fleets. Her gaze silenced councils. Entire species bent the knee when her name crossed their star systems. And yet now, against every protocol and instinct, she stood before a single prisoner. A human. The cell was designed for warlords, gravlock restraints, null field dampeners, and walls etched with psionic suppressor runes. The human sat chained to a chair of fused metal, blood dried at the corner of his mouth, dark hair matted from weeks of interrogation. He looked unimpressive. That alone unsettled her. Humans had been a nuisance at the edge of Thyraxis space. Clever traders, stubborn colonists, irritatingly resilient. When one of their outposts resisted Dominion annexation, the Queen had ordered an example made. The colony burned. Survivors were processed. This one, however, had been captured alive after killing 3 royal guards with nothing but a damaged exosuit and a mining tool. He had not screamed during interrogation. He had not begged. He had only watched. "State your designation," Xylosian commanded, her voice resonating with harmonic authority that could crush lesser minds. The human lifted his head slowly. His eyes, brown, unremarkable, and far too steady, met hers without fear. "My name is Elias Ward," he said calmly. "Former rescue officer. Former soldier. Current problem." Several attendants hissed in offense. No being addressed the Queen so casually. Xylosian raised a clawed hand for silence. "You are accused of treason against the Dominion, slaughter of royal guards, and sedition among subject species," she said. "You will explain why you should not be publicly dissolved." Elias exhaled. "Before that," he said, "I want to ask you something." The Queen's eyes narrowed. "You will not question." "How old was your daughter?" Elias interrupted softly. "When she disappeared." The chamber went silent. Even the ambient hum of the null field seemed to falter. Queen Xylosian froze. No record of her offspring existed in Dominion archives. The existence of her heir was a state secret known only to her inner sanctum. The loss of Princess Xylosian, taken decades ago during a border incursion, had been erased from history, buried beneath conquest and cruelty. "How?" the Queen whispered, her voice losing its thunder. "Do you know of her?" Elias swallowed, pain flickering across his face. "Because I held her hand when she died." The word struck like a meteor. The Queen's attendants recoiled as her psychic aura surged uncontrollably, cracking the crystalline walls. Several collapsed, overwhelmed by the emotional backlash. Xylosian stepped forward, claws trembling. "You lie." "I wish I did," Elias replied. "She was young, scared, injured when your raiding fleet hit our medical convoy. We didn't know who she was. Just another alien child bleeding out in space." The Queen's memories betrayed her, visions of a missing escape pod, unanswered signals, the silence that followed. What did you do to her?" Xylosian demanded, tears forming along the bioluminescent veins of her face. "We tried to save her," Elias said quietly. "Every human aboard that ship did. We broke quarantine, violated orders, used resources meant for our own wounded. She kept asking for her mother." Xylosian staggered. "She didn't die alone," Elias continued. "I sang to her. A stupid old Earth lullaby my mother used to hum. She didn't understand the words, but she smiled anyway." The Queen collapsed to one knee. "You're a monster," she whispered. "Your kind slaughtered entire systems." "Yes," Elias said. "And so did yours." The words carried no accusation, only truth. "I didn't know who she was," he said, But I knew she mattered. So when she asked me to promise something, I did. Xylosian looked up sharply. Promise. That I'd tell her mother she was brave, HFY said. That she wasn't afraid at the end. The Queen's composure shattered. A sound escaped her that no one in the Dominion had ever heard from their ruler, a raw, keening cry of grief. Guards lowered their weapons, stunned. Advisors backed away, uncertain, afraid. Xylosian rose slowly, towering over the human, but her strength was gone. Why tell me this? She asked. Why now? Elias met her gaze. Because you were about to kill me, and because your empire is built on the same lie ours once was, that strength is measured by how much you can destroy. Silence stretched between them. You could end this war, HFY said.
Right now.
Or you can kill me, burn another 100 worlds, and still wake up every cycle wondering what your daughter would think of you. The Queen turned away, trembling. Memories flooded her mind, not of conquest, but of holding a small, glowing child, of laughter echoing through royal chambers long abandoned. At last she spoke. Release him. The guard stared. Your Majesty. Release him. Xylosian roared, her authority returning, reshaped by sorrow rather than rage. Chains fell away. The null field disengaged. Elias stood unsteadily. You will leave Thyraxis space alive, the Queen said. And you will take a message to your people. What message? Elias asked. Xylosian straightened, grief hardening into resolve. That the Dominion will cease its expansion. That reparations will be made. And that the Queen of Thyraxis owes humanity a debt that cannot be repaid in blood. Elias nodded slowly. As he turned to leave, the Queen spoke one final time. Thank you for loving my daughter when I could not protect her. Elias paused at the threshold. She changed you, he said gently. That means she lived on. The doors closed behind him, and for the first time in its history, the Thyraxis Dominion began not with conquest, but with a mother's remorse and a human who chose compassion over hatred. Humanity had not won the war, but it had won something far rarer, the heart of an empire. The effects of the Queen's command rippled outward faster than any fleet. Within days, Dominion warships withdrew from contested systems. Occupation forces received recall orders sealed with royal sigils no admiral dared question. For the first time in recorded galactic history, the Thyraxis Dominion did not advance, it retreated. Across human space, disbelief turned into wary silence. Then came the envoys. Not conquerors, not threats, but diplomats carrying crystalline data cores filled with star maps, resources, and something far more valuable, truth. Records of lost colonies. Prison camps dismantled. Entire species quietly released from bondage with a single declaration. The age of forced dominion has ended. Elias Ward never returned to the battlefield. Instead, he stood before councils, human, alien, and everything in between, telling the same story every time. About a child who was afraid. About a queen who listened. About how monsters are not born, but made, and how they can choose to stop being monsters. Far above the violet oceans of Thyraxis, Queen Xylosian stood alone on her balcony. The Empire still feared her. It always would. But now, they also watched her, waiting to see what kind of ruler she would become. She gazed at the stars, at the quiet space where her daughter's signal had vanished long ago. I kept my promise, she whispered into the void. And so did he. In time, historians would argue whether humanity had saved the galaxy through strategy, resilience, or sheer stubborn defiance. But those who knew the truth understood something far simpler. When faced with absolute power, a single human had spoken not with hatred, but with compassion. And an empire had listened. That was humanity's greatest weapon.